Two moms, two marketers, two women new to the financial industry. They have a lot of questions. That's why they're bringing in financial experts to educate all of us here on A Penny or Two for Your Thoughts.
Hey everyone, we're back. Liz and Chantel, A Penny or Two for Your Thoughts. Another podcast. Here we go. May. It's gonna be.
Well,
May.
it already is
It's
May.
May. I'm really excited for this podcast because it's talking all the things mental health awareness and things like that. And I can tell you right now, I need this so badly in my life, like beyond. You know, May is a crazy month, isn't it? It doesn't matter what season of life or where you're at in your life. May just seems crazy town.
It is. And if you think about it too, like we're in the midst, like even Mother Nature doesn't know how to act right now. Like she's up, she's down, she's left, she's right. Like it's just all over the board with even the temperatures.
Yeah.
Things are crazy in May. You've got all those graduations and weddings and parties and end of school. And
we were talking about this earlier, May Day baskets.
Yes.
Did you do that when you were little?
Yeah, I had a couple of like friends that we would do that. We had like friend circle and we would all just Mayday, like literally run up to your door and like run away.
Like what's the, I want to know what the background is. Like you would drop this like popcorn and Tootsie Rolls. I remember this in these cups and then run.
Yeah.
Ding dong and dash. Isn't that what that is?
Yeah. But kids do it differently now. Now they don't drop off any candy. They just literally ring your doorbell and run off.
That's true. That is true. Well, we are not going to have anything stressful like that in our podcast today because we're going to talk about all things good for us and how we can better ourselves and the environments we work in. So let's get at it.
Let's get at it. All right. Well, May, I think we said, is Mental Health Awareness Month. And it's an important reminder that mental wellness impacts how we show up. It's at work, it's at home, and even in our finances too. Stress doesn't live in silos. So whether it comes from your work life, your personal life, or just even worries about your finances, it affects our performance, it affects relationships, and really just that overall sense of well-being. So today's conversation with all of our friends here, we're going to focus on mental wellness in the workplace. We're going to recognize when support is needed and how employees and leaders can respond with care. We have quite the panel of guests with us today.
A full crew.
We have a full crew.
Yeah.
So I would like each of those guests just to kind of share a little brief intro and your role in your organization. So Molly, I'll start with you since you're sitting off to my right. I'd love for you to introduce yourself to our listeners and tell us a little bit about the Kim Foundation.
So I'm Molly Woodman. I am the Director of Community Engagement at the Kim Foundation. And we're a nonprofit. We're a local nonprofit. We're very close to the recording studio, but probably not. It only took me 3 minutes to get here.
Nice.
So my role, I do a lot of the marketing. So I run the website, our social media, newsletters, that kind of thing. But my favorite part of my job is I get to do a lot of the trainings that we go out and do in the community. So we do about 200 trainings a year. A lot of it is focused on suicide prevention, but then also just general mental health. And so I get to do a good third of those presentations.
A lot of talking.
It's fun.
Yeah.
It's very fun.
Very good.
I love the awareness that builds. 200. That's incredible.
Yes. Thank you.
All right. Our next guest, Terry, I'm going to have you introduce yourself.
Sure. My name's Terry Coleman. I am clinical manager with Best Care Employee Assistance Program. Just in case you don't know exactly what an EAP is, we provide short-term counseling to the companies that to the employees of the companies that contract with us. Currently, we have around 300 companies that we work with. Most of them are here in the Omaha-area, but some of them are around the nation. My responsibilities are overseeing the clinical services that we provide on a regular basis to those folks. I don't have as much of an active involvement in day-to-day mental health work, but I do a lot of consulting, a lot of of course, supervising the counselors, work with managers and supervisors, HR people at the companies that we work with, and just consulting with them and how to handling difficult situations with
Absolutely.
employees. Get a lot of questions on a regular basis of, well, how do I know if somebody's having a problem?
Yeah.
What do I look for? That sort of thing.
Oh, we are looking
Yeah.
forward to talking to you guys.
Yes.
Yay.
Yes. And then we can't forget our two co-workers, cohorts, partners in crime from Centris that we have joining with us. Chrissy Cunningham, you want to give a little brief intro on who you are? I think you've been a podcast
Yeah,
guest.
we
so
both have repeaters here.
This is my third time.
Yeah.
Yes, what?
You guys keep bringing me back. I
know.
love it.
Can't stop, won't stop.
I am Chrissy Cunningham. I'm our benefits administrator here at Centris. So I do all things benefits with our employees and actually work closely with Terry with the Best Care EAP and their services that they offer for our employees.
Thank you.
Excellent.
Last but not least.
It's me, Robin Freydu, and I get to work alongside this lovely lady, Chrissy Cunningham. I am the Director of Learning and Development here at Centris. In a nutshell, I help oversee, manage, provide training and education to all of our employment population.
Perfect.
Perfect.
Thank you so much. I think, just talking about the fact that organizations offer these type of services is so important. And so kind of walk us through why it's so important to talk openly about mental health in the workplace, especially for those employees and leaders. And to Terry, to your point, when leaders are asking, what do I know to look for? Where do we even start and why is it so important? Terry, do you want to start us?
Sure. Well, it's important simply because human being is obviously an important part of your overall well-being. Talking about it in the workplace is difficult. We've come a long way in the mental health field as far as being able to not be so stigmatized that, oh yeah, don't want to talk to one of them folks, that sort of thing. But we've so it's more easily talked about today in the workplace. There's still a stigma attached.
Sure.
But encouraging managers, supervisors, employees it's okay to not be okay.
Yeah.
And to be willing to talk to others or let somebody know that, hey, I'm struggling. Because otherwise we all just sit in our little cubicle or whatever and suffer in silence. And that's never good.
No.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I think talking about mental health at work, directly does impact employee performance, but I think that it creates safety and support for our employees. We're encouraging them to ask for help, reduces their feelings of isolation. I'm the only one struggling with this. And it can improve engagement and trust within the organization as well.
Absolutely.
A lot of what we do with the Kim Foundation and with our trainings and all of the programming is just to try to break that stigma that Terry mentioned that's still there, because a lot of people don't believe that physical health and mental health are equal, and they are equal. And there is a stigma. It is getting better. I would agree with you, but there's still that stigma attached that we don't want to talk about it.
Yeah.
And the reality is we're with our coworkers many times more waking hours of the week than we're with our family.
We were just talking about that this week.
So it's a huge, I'm so glad that you're having this conversation. I commend Centris for wanting to do this kind of thing for their managers and for their employees, because it's so important. And a lot of times it is coworkers and managers and colleagues that notice those first signs in someone that they're struggling. So that's why it's so important that we talk about it so we know how to respond.
Yeah, that's a really good point. we were saying that we've talked about this. We are with each other more than our families. And to your point, like we are seeing it probably before
Mhm.
maybe our families because they're with us so much. But
Mhm. Mhm.
maybe we take a step back. Tell us a little bit how the Kim Foundation was formed.
Mm.
I think there's a strong story there. There's this
Yeah,
foundation of
yeah.
everything for what you're going to be talking about today.
Yeah. So if there's any Omaha natives here, if you might remember hearing about CNA Industries, Arias Medical, those kinds of staffing organizations here in Omaha, the man who started all of that, Larry Courtnage, is the same man who started the Kim Foundation. So Larry lost his daughter Kim to suicide in the late 80s. And so, and Kim struggled with mental health issues her whole life. And so Larry decided at that moment, when he had the ability to do something and make a difference, he was going to do that. And that came about 15 years later when he started the Kim Foundation in 2001. And so it was to honor Kim, but also he really wanted to change the landscape of mental health care in Nebraska. He was not happy with a lot of the care that Kim received, and others that he witnessed. And so he wanted to make a real change. So I credit him as an individual who took his immense privilege and put it towards something wonderful. And so in the beginning, they did a lot of legislative work, got a couple bills passed to improve mental health care. And then they started being kind of a granting agency to other organizations that were doing work in that space. So over the years, we've evolved, and last year was the last year that we provided grants. And so now, just for sustainability reasons, we kind of are putting our focus internally, and we're doing the work that we used to give grants to other organizations that were doing that. So our main focus now is on programming, and it's all kind of goes back to that root of preventing suicide, but also providing postvention resources too. So after there is a death by suicide, we have a lot of resources for that, and just mental health awareness in general.
Great. Thank you so much for that explanation.
Yes. Terry, can you talk a little bit about what types of services are available through Best Care and who has access to that?
We have a number of different services, but our two main focuses is, of course, the mental health counseling itself, and we also do a lot of training for our companies. Who has access to that? Well, essentially everyone, any employee and their family members have access to the counseling part of what we do. And it's fairly easily accessed. You can call us, and then we'll direct you to where you need to go to complete the intake, and then we'll get that and get back in touch to set up an appointment. Or you can skip the call, just go to the website, fill out the intake, and we'll get in touch with you to set something up. And as I said, it's any family member of any, I should say, let me rephrase that, any benefits eligible family member. So if you're eligible for insurance, other benefits of the company, that person would also be eligible to use AP.
Perfect.
It's as far as the training goes, that's mostly we do that at the companies, or we do have trainings where people come to our location. So that's mostly employees, but we certainly want to make our sales available whenever and whatever time we can. Say, for instance, this afternoon, I'm going to be going to one of our companies that had their employees experienced a traumatic situation, and I'm going to be going there to be available to talk with them as needed. So we have a variety of services that we offer.
Thank you. Chrissy, I know that there's this fine line of, working with management, leadership, how you would talk to them through situations, maybe with their employees, but how do you know when it's time to talk with them or maybe refer them to one of these great organizations?
Absolutely. I think it's important to note that HR professionals and managers, the people leaders, we're there to help educate, support, and guide, not diagnose and treat. We don't expect our managers to be, clinicians. Blurring that line can lead them to giving advice that they're not qualified to give. So I think it's important that we do set clear boundaries with our managers to help them understand that they can be supportive without overstepping. And I feel a strong culture isn't one where leaders know everything. It's one where they know that they are supported and have resources such as, Best Care EAP and Foundation. So we definitely want to talk to them about warning signs and things to take immediately, but their job is not, to counsel. It is truly there to be supportive.
It takes a lot of pressure off of those managers
Yeah.
to know that I don't have to deal with this. I can send them on to someone else.
Yeah.
Correct. Yeah.
So what are some of those common signs that maybe managers should watch for that would indicate that their employee is struggling, or maybe they haven't said anything at all? What are those signs that they could be looking for?
Decreased performance is one, especially if there's not an obvious trigger for that kind of a thing. Calling out a lot, especially if it's not normal for that individual to do that.
Yeah.
Usually if it was an individual who used to, like, maybe there's a big project and they used to take charge and then they're hanging back, or maybe it's someone who was usually very talkative and now they're being very quiet, but also intense anger that might outweigh the situation. We all get annoyed at work, and I'm sure we all want to vent every now and then.
I don't know.
I mean, maybe that's a new experience for you. I don't know. But if we're noticing that an individual is consistently, maybe in our opinion, over reacting to something, we might want to have a conversation with them. Like, hey,
In a word, Molly, I think what that can be summed up as, if you're seeing a change in that person's behavior, something new is happening that is unusual, they've never done it before, that's a good indicator that something may be up.
Yeah.
And may just be a temporary thing for some.
Right. Everybody has a bad day.
Right.
And it could just be that their kid spilled apple juice all over the floor.
Right.
Which may have happened to me this week.
Not that I'm holding on to this.
But it's when you see, I think Terry would probably agree, when you see it more than once. We're not talking about one-offs. We're talking about
like one bad day.
maybe a little bit of a slight pattern to this.
Exactly.
Why do you think that happens at work? Like, we all have stress coming from everywhere: financial, personal, just social, economic issues. Why do you think that that happens to maybe manifest there?
Part of it is there's a bit of a mask that we all wear at work. And the way I act at work might not always be the same way I act with my family. And that takes a bit of a stressful emotional toll on us after a while. And then sometimes that, we need to, that mask is slipping, and and not that we're fake. I don't mean that, but I certainly don't talk as professionally at home as I do.
That's fair.
But that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I used to work in a school, and so everyone called me Mrs. Woodman. And I felt like Mrs. Woodman was a character, and I was Molly, but this Mrs. Woodman is this loud, boisterous, fun, blah, and so that was, in a way, and I didn't mean it to be, it can be a mask. And so it's hard to keep that up when you're struggling inside, because our mental health is basically, when you boil it down, it's how you feel, how you act, and what you say. And so it's everything. And if that's hurting, it's going to start to manifest other places.
Yeah.
Molly, if I could add to your comment, how and why this might show up at work, if it's something that doesn't necessarily have anything to do with work. If someone is worried about, from a financial perspective, how I'm going to make ends meet, how I'm going to make this month's rent, how I'm going to put food on the table, it's likely going to impact how I am showing up at work. It's not something that necessarily can be turned off as soon as I walk in through the doors at work and say, okay, I'm great. It can manifest and continue to follow me into the work environment.
And it's important to remember we don't have workplace mental health and personal life mental health.
Right.
It's all together, and it's all going to impact, work is going to impact home, vice versa. We're whole beings. We're not divvied up in any way.
Yeah.
Right.
How would, Robin, Chrissy, this might be for you, but how would a manager maybe approach that conversation with the employee if they have seen that change? Like you said, yeah, one bad day, that's fine. But if that change keeps ongoing, or it's a domino effect and creating more, you're seeing more things happening with this employee, what's a great way for managers to even approach that, or even just a colleague? Like maybe not necessarily a leader, but if the person that maybe you sit at the lunch table with, or that you maybe go on those 15-minute walks with, they're noticing a change even, how can somebody approach that?
Absolutely. So my bachelor's degree is in psychology. So something I've taken with me into the workplace is a model where you notice, you ask, you listen, support, and refer. So when it comes to noticing, so as Molly was saying, you're noticing this decrease in performance, or maybe they're quiet at the lunch table. A great way to ask is, I've noticed you seem overwhelmed, or you seem different today. How are you doing? And then I think that opens the door, and it's important to listen. That sounds really tough. We want to stay away from saying, oh, everyone feels that way, get over it, type of thing. But just listening more than you're talking, and just validating. I think that's important for people to feel heard and validated, and you're not there, and they're not necessarily asking you to fix it. So I think listening and then supporting them. Here at Centris, we can say, do you know that we have Best Care EAP? Or did you know you can talk to HR or your manager? But at some point too, if the conversation starts getting, heavy, you need to know definitely when to refer, or to get them, outside help as well. But I think just starting with an easy question of, I've noticed this, how are you doing, is a great way to start those conversations.
So they've had those conversations with you, and what does it look like going either to Best Care or the Kim Foundation? What does it look like to have that person take the next step, and what is it going to look like for them? And how do you kind of approach that confidentiality piece? That's always that fear, especially I think sometimes when you have those sources in your office, like, thank you for offering this to me, but how do I know you're not telling everybody, you're going to know everything that I'm telling these counselors or having these discussions? How does that kind of play out?
Well, from our point of view, confidentiality is I can't think of the right word. It's extremely important. We emphasize that when we see if somebody for the first time. Because people will have questions. Is my employer going to know about this? Are you going to be? And we assure them as much as we can through our paperwork, through our communicating with them in session, that the only person that knows you're here is you, and we aren't going to tell anybody. You can tell whoever you want, but we're not going to tell anybody. And it's a hallmark. It's just the hallmark of what counseling is all about. You need to feel confident that what you're saying and doing is going to be held in confidence. So it's we can't emphasize it enough.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, and I'll defer to Terry on that for that.
Yeah.
With some of the resources that we promote here in the metro area, and I guess this one would be nationally, is 988. A lot of times it's the suicide and mental health crisis line. It's not just for suicidal thoughts. It's for any kind of mental health crisis, or even if it's not a crisis, you're just feeling some kind of way that's
Someone to talk to.
scary,
Yeah.
and they're trained crisis counselors, and that is anonymous.
Mhm.
I could call or text, and they might ask me my name just so that they can be personable,
Mhm.
Right.
but I could say my name was Barnaby, and
Yeah.
they'd say, "Well, what's going on, Barnaby?"
Yeah.
I don't sound like Barnaby, but they don't care. They just want to help. And that's kind of the just the cornerstone of, like, exactly like Terry said, but that is a common, I even know it, like in our office, we have, or our foundation offers an EAP, and it's for employees, and our volunteers also have
Mhm.
access to that, and their family members. Um, and that was kind of the first question. We're like, okay, so we go to the AAP and then you get the bill, then you're going to know I went. And they're like, no, 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 no. We don't know.
Yeah.
They don't tell us who it is,
Yes.
So, and it's wonderful. It's a great resource.
Right.
So let's take a step and look at like culture and leadership from that standpoint. And Chrissy and Robin, you might be able to help out here, but what makes a workplace feel psychologically safe when it comes to mental health?
I think supporting people well and connecting them to get the right help. And I think, kind of as Terry mentioned earlier, it's important to define the role to our leaders as well, that they are not there to fix things, that they're there to notice, support, and care, not to diagnose and all of that. But when that is clear, when the employees feel safe, our leaders are more willing to engage instead of avoid. So I think training them on boundaries and red flags and normalizing the talk and promoting the resources is a way that our employees can feel safe, and that, the employer cares and is a safe place for them.
Yeah, I think it's our leaders' responsibility to create psychologically safe environments in the workplace. So employees are not in fear of sharing when maybe they aren't having the best day, they are struggling. And that's okay. It's okay to not be okay. And we have resources and wonderful places such as the Kim Foundation and Best Care EAP to share with our employees and get them the help that they need.
And I think too, like Centris does such a great job. Just talk about culture and leadership and that safe feeling. You could walk into any leader's office,
Mhm.
and they would be open and willing to talk to you. And I think we've set that as a culture, just in the employees, the people that we hire. They're living our mission, vision, values every day, what we call the Centris way, and that exudes out of our culture, which just in turn, when you walk through those doors, it becomes a safe space.
Yeah.
Like you feel like you can have an opinion, you can have a feeling, you can have an emotion, and nobody's going to think differently of you
Yeah.
because of that. So
Finding an organization, we talk a lot on our podcast about, recruiting or looking for new jobs or whatever that looks like to make sure that you are set in whatever that you want to do, and looking for that when you're interviewing, I think is so important that you have that support from an organization. And Best Care and the Kim Foundation, you guys are focused on education. I know, Terry, we just had an amazing presentation from your group about burnout. And I mean, for a week, we were all talking about it and discussing and having those open conversations where it was, again, that safe place to talk. Like, I'm burned out. Like, this is where I'm at, and so we were all sharing that, which was really vulnerable,
right.
but very open that you can do that with your coworkers. And Molly, I know your team is coming in for education. Why is education so important that you are going out into these organizations and providing that?
Well, you kind of answered your own question. That's why it's important for everyone to know that a lot of times we want to help, but we don't know how. And so I'm glad that there's organizations and people that are out there to say, hey, I can give you some tips on how. And I think it was Chrissy said something like this. She hit the nail on the head a little while ago. I think a lot of times we're so worried about saying the wrong thing, and we don't know how to respond. We don't know how to say, but what she said, it's spot on. We just need to listen.
Yeah.
and telling people, some of those conversation starters and giving them tips. And some of it, it's not, brain surgery. It's a lot of times it's like, oh, that's pretty okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
duh, I could do that.
Yeah.
It's that
Mhm.
kind of thing, not to diminish what, we're teaching, but giving people the tools and the confidence that they need to, I can listen non-judgmentally.
Yep.
And I know that at the end of this conversation, I can give them, Terry's information to
Yeah.
contact the EAP. I can give them this card with all of these resource numbers to call. I can have them, so as long as you approach the conversation, teaching people how to approach the conversation and being prepared, I think is super important, especially in the workplace, because they know, you're around everybody all
Absolutely.
the time.
Yeah.
Right.
To add to Molly's comments, at Centris, our number one asset is our employees. And one of the things that we are going to be doing this month in honor of mental health awareness is have the Kim Foundation come in and conduct mental health awareness training with our people leaders so that we can help equip them so that they can recognize warning signs. And they will also learn how to establish boundaries when situations go beyond their ability and their roles to coach, support, and listen. Managers will be able to help connect employees with professional resources to get them the proper professional help and support that they need.
Mhm.
I love that. I know we're looking forward to that. Absolutely. Having you come in.
So I know we talk a lot about the managers and the leaders, but what's something that maybe an employee can do if they're starting to feel a little overwhelmed and just don't know really where to go?
I would hope that they would turn to HR or their manager to speak up, or tell a friend that could come to us. In fact, I had an employee the other day that came in getting EAP cards and brochures for me from me, and I don't know how the comment came, and I was just like, oh, here's more for you, and oh, it's not for me, I've got a coworker I'm going to give this to. And I was so impressed that they were willing to do that, for a coworker. So as small as it may seem, an employee just has to say something. I hope they would say something. We also have a great intranet, and I hope that our employees would know, hey, if I want it to be confidential, I don't want to say anything, they know they can go to our internal hub on the benefits page and get the EAP information as well. But, as we always say, we can't help if we don't know that something needs to be helped. So I think speaking up and encouraging them to speak up is the best way.
Absolutely.
And in the same way that your managers and supervisors are being trained or being told to listen and support, the same thing can be said for your employees too. There's something, the name I know it by is psychological first aid. It has other names, but it's the same thing as far as just learning those exact skills that you were talking about, being just listening, supporting, and helping them find further help if they need it. It's not a huge effort. It's just being a caring human being.
Yes. Yes. Oh, you guys are leaving us on good things, but we have one more question for all of you. So this is a penny or two for your thoughts is the name of our podcast, and we want you to leave our listeners with one takeaway that they should have today from all of the great information you provided us. Terry, we'll start with you.
I guess even though this may be kind of whatever it is, I think the most important thing is for people to realize that mental health is part of your overall health, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with you seeking to get help if you're feeling just out of sorts, or things haven't been going right, or if it's more serious than that, it's okay. If you broke your leg, you're not going to say, "Oh, yeah, it's going to get better." I know, but it'll get better. That's what we do with our mental health. I'm going to get better. I'll just keep sucking it up, and I'll keep. It doesn't work that way.
Right.
I won't say never, but it generally doesn't work that way.
Yeah. Right.
It's okay to talk to somebody. Doesn't have to be somebody like me. It can be your friend. Talk to somebody.
Yep. Robin, how about you? What would you leave?
Thank you for that opportunity, Chantel. My thoughts are, it's okay to not be okay. I am not unicorns and rainbows 24 hours a day, and that's all right. Know that there are resources out there to help you. You are not alone, and reach out and seek help. It's a sign of strength and not a sign of weakness.
I'm going to disagree with her. She is rainbows and like all the time.
I mean, pretty much, but it's a good point you bring up, Chantel. When I come in and I'm not my normal self, my team notices
very
it.
noticeable. Yeah.
They step in and they say something, see something, do something. So, so very true. When you see something that doesn't quite seem the norm, do something about it.
That's great. Chrissy.
I would want people to know that they're not alone. When people feel that they have to handle things alone, they tend to stay quiet. So when they don't, and when they reach out, that's when I feel the real support can begin, the real help, the healing. So cliche as it is, you're not alone. We all have these feelings. We all have these struggles. It's just those that talk about it, in my opinion, can really start to get the support that they need.
That's great. Thank you.
Molly? Well, you all took my answers.
Yeah.
So I want to be more creative. But what I would say is be that person. Be that person. Be that person who says, what's going on?
I love that.
Be that person that says, hey, the way you handled that situation was amazing. I love how even the smallest thing, like, you're really good at talking to people on the phone. Like you have such a call, just being that person, because we never know what someone is going through. And our words, our kind words, or just looking at someone in the face and knowing that in this moment, this person's looking at me and I think they really care about me. Right. Be that person is what I would say.
Oh, all of it.
Love it.
Good.
I love it all. I love it all. Well, before we wrap up, we really, truly want to just say a big thank you to our guests today, especially Terry, Molly. Thank you for coming. Thank you for all the work that both of you are doing, that the Kim Foundation is doing, that Best Care EAP is doing. You guys are doing incredible work, and the work that you're doing is supporting mental health, not only in the workplace, but just even in our communities. Strong community we want to be, so we need all the help we can get.
Absolutely.
And of course, we want to thank everyone that's listening. If this conversation resonated with you, we'd love for you to like, rate, and review the podcast. So it really helps us continue bringing these important conversations to you. Also, we will include in our description of this podcast a link to bestcare.org EAP, and also as well as the Kim Foundation, just so you have those resources. And we can include that phone number as well. I think it's 988, right?
Yep.
So we'll include that in the description. So if you are somebody that's listening and just needs to talk to somebody or reach out, we'll have those available for you. And then if you want any great resources or content related to finances, you can check us out at centrisfcu.org. Or if you just really want to talk to somebody about it, and reach out to one of our financial experts to help them guide you, just give us a call at 402-334-7000. Thank you, everybody, so much for listening. Take care of yourself and make it a great day. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks.